Good afternoon, evening, morning, or wherever you're at today. We are on our way to Camp Trail Hero, and we stopped by in Cedar City, and I'm going to talk to Jim Markham over at JM Rigging and Supply. So we're going to go in and check it out. Okay, welcome. This is another episode of American-Made Rock Crawler coming to you from Cedar City, Utah with Jim Markham of JM Rigging and Supply. Did I say that right?
That's close enough.
That's close enough? Okay.
You just JM Rigging Supply is generally what it is, but you can throw the and in there. We don't really mind. You know, what the heck's a couple letters, right? Exactly.
So one of the companies that, if I need any type of winch lines or shackles, recovery gear, this is at the top of my list. And so I really wanted to stop by and talk to Jim. He's agreed to sit down with me. So I'm super appreciative, super pumped. Got me a cool t-shirt. And so here we go. So Jim, are you originally from Utah?
No, I was originally, believe it or not, born and raised in Southern California, in the San Fernando Valley. Grew up surfing, skiing was always my big deal, rock crawling, rappelling off bridges, all kinds of crazy stuff like that we all do as a young kid.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get involved in the off-road world until I moved to Cedar City.
Really?
My wife and I had moved here, and we were reading something where there was a rock crawl out at Three Peaks.
Yes.
It's like, what the heck is a rock crawl? We were rock climbers, but didn't know what a rock crawl was. So we saw all these beefed up buggies going by and stuff like that, and it was actually a We Rock event. And so we went out there and took a look at it, and we were just amazed. I was watching the guys with their suck down winches and some of their recovery stuff. And I'm like, wow, I'd been using that stuff all my life and everything. Maybe there's room for this company to get involved in the off-road industry. And hooked up with a young kid at that time by the name of Justin Hall. And I think everybody knows Justin Hall. He's pretty much a staple name in rock crawling. He does the Ultra 4 stuff now, King of the Hammers and all that kind of stuff. And he had wonderful parents and wonderful friends, Rick Penrose and a bunch of these other guys. And we hooked up and started what we call now the JM Rigging Winchline team. And put Justin on that team. I went to all the events. I became a sponsor for We Rock. Went to all the events, set up, sold stuff, did all kinds of recovery, and just had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It really was, and I never ever thought that, I would end up having an off-road end of the company inside the end of an overhead rigging company, but it just kind of went together, married the two both, and, I can still do all the overhead stuff and still go to the rock crawl, supply, top quality recovery gear to the guys and to the events.
Yeah. Well, from what I can tell, at least from a customer's perspective, it seems that when it comes to events like that, you're well represented by the people that use your products. Like, everybody has good things to say about the company and the products, and a lot of people are using your products. So see, I have a good rapport there.
Well, in my years of rigging, I did stunt and special effects rigging in Hollywood for 26 years. Before I finally got tired of that and said I was done with that, which was then when we packed up and moved to Cedar City and decided to kind of follow a slightly different path. I'm all about quality. I'm all about performance of material. I despise Chinese rigging.
We're on the same page there.
And I mean, to me, anybody can go on the website. You can hook up with a Chinese company. They'll sell you anything that they want, and they'll indent containers of the crap over here for you. But to me, it's all subpar stuff. It's not really inspected. It's not made right. I've always looked at Chinese stuff as reverse engineering for cheap. Yeah. And that's pretty much what it is. Where everything I've always done, relied on top quality know-how and knowing what you're doing. People, are involved in this stuff. I mean, I've flown Britney Spears across the stage and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of it, being done with Dyneema. And I just don't believe in cutting corners. I mean, I got you guys out there putting God knows how much weight on one of my spotter ropes. I need to make sure that those spotter ropes are built right and correct. I don't want somebody pulling on that thing and having it break, or splice come undone or just some weird thing like that. And I've always prided myself on top quality, 100% engineered parts and pieces.
And that's one of the big differences when you're dealing with a company like yours as opposed to these big, huge companies that bring in products from China and are just looking that bottom dollar is the only thing they're looking at. When you're dealing with a company like yours, a lot of times you meet people who are invested in the product, invested in quality as yourself. And that's really important when we're talking about safety and rigging equipment.
Yes. Yeah.
It actually, and another thing I had this flash that I remembered. So I actually need another steel shackle, a little D-ring, and because I lost one. And I was picking up some bolts or whatever the other day at Ace Hardware, and I was like, and the point is that they have a whole mess of D shackles right across the street from my house at Ace Hardware. But I waited till I was waiting to come down here to see you to grab one because of the very fact of where they're made. Yes, yeah. If you go and you can get a $20 shackle at Ace Hardware, and they're all from China. And I don't trust the working load on those, and I always try to buy stuff that I can count on. So anyway.
And especially with a lot of the Chinese stuff, when you go and buy at these big hardware store places, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, and things like that, does the shackle even have a rating on it? I know from back in the days, because like I said, I've been in this industry now for, oh my gosh, like 46 years, I think. Right. The mills over there will do a big run on, say, 10,000 shackles, and maybe they'll mess up and they'll forget to put something on the body of the shackle that's supposed to be there. Well, what they do is they pick up the phone and they go to these big distributor people like what we were talking about. Hey, I got a deal for you. I got a whole load of these shackles. You can have them for 50 cents a piece. And boom, Home Depot buys them, puts them on their shelf, and they sell them, and other stores like that. And you actually end up buying a subpar, really unrated, unidentified piece of material.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that. Your straight forged Chinese shackles have a certain workload. I sell a high-end shackle made by Columbus McKinnon. That's what they call a super alloy shackle. And it's way stronger than just a standard forging.
Yeah.
So with shackles, you get what you pay for. Crosby is a really high-end brand. Columbus McKinnon, of course, is super high-end brand. I stay away from people like the Green Pin Van Beest stuff. Yeah. They're not poured forged shackles. They're a cold rolled. Yes, they're made over in the Netherlands, but they are made in the Netherlands by Chinese steel. Right. Stuff like that. Just little tricks and things that you learn for stuff in the industry on why you really don't want to use those.
Well, I know that when if I'm hooking something to that shackle, then usually it's a situation where I don't want to be let go. So,
yes. Yeah, I mean, having the steel shackle break is just absolutely horrifying. And you'll find out that with a lot of the American-made stuff, it doesn't break. It bends and distorts to where it's no longer usable and no longer good, but it does not actually physically break. We've done brake tests out here in the parking lot. I get Gunnebo and Crosby comes by here, and we have classes, and we love to break hooks, the Chinese hooks versus the Crosby hooks or the Columbus McKinnon hooks. A Crosby hook, you cannot break it. It will bend and it will it'll straighten out just like a straight piece of rod, where that Chinese one, every single time that thing will break. So, it's really quite amazing.
Very cool. So, another thing that's been really big the last several years is the soft shackles. And You can get soft shackles all over the internet. You can get an Amazon soft shackle 2BU before you go to bed tonight. But again, the same thing. The products they're using for the soft shackles, not the same thing as what you're using. And I just got 3 soft shackles from you a couple months ago, and they are beautiful. They not only that, but another thing I like about your soft shackles, they're easy to hook up. And I've had shackles from ARB and some other companies that are reputable companies. And what I'm saying is, like, I can hook your shackle up and get it cinched and everything really easy. The way you've done it is just, I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I know with shackles, especially soft shackles, they're, are 2 different ways that they make them. They make them the traditional way with the single loop, which is what I make. Then they also make them where they have the double loop. The thing that I do not like about the double loop shackles is that if you get somebody a soft shackle who doesn't know how to use it, and yes, there is a ton of people out there still who have never heard of a soft shackle, never seen it, because you got to remember that every year we get a turnover and we get new people coming into our industry. I've seen people connect the double loop soft shackles to the bottom loop rather than the top loop, and just off the wall stuff like that. The way that those soft shackles are made, if you connect into the double loop and you put a load on it, is what it does is it pops that top loop out to where now you don't even have a soft shackle. You've completely ruined it. Mine, I consider a no-brainer soft shackle. The rope buries in, you pull it out, click it around, slide it up, and it's good to go. And there is no guessing. Hole A goes into hole B. And there is no C option in there. And that's the way that I like to run my gear.
That's what I was showing my wife, that exact thing. I said, when I was showing her the difference between yours and the other ones I had, it's like, look at this. You just go in here, and it's good every time. It's so easy, and it's quick, because sometimes speed is necessary. Yes, it's making you want to get hooked up. Even though, like, sometimes you're in a precarious situation, and everybody outside of the car knows you're not going to go anywhere. For you, sometimes it feels like you're on the edge of a cliff, or maybe you are on the edge of a cliff. But either way, getting hooked up quick and easy is a plus. Major plus.
Exactly. Especially just a way to sometimes at least secure the vehicle so that it's not going anywhere. Because, I've recovered people where you look down the other side and go, wow, good thing you didn't roll one more time. And just stuff like that. We get in these competitions and things where we're coming down through cracks and stuff, and maybe we'll wipe out maybe the drop's 100 feet and we made it 50 feet, and now we're sitting here teetered on an edge. And you've got to do things. I've seen guys break their front suck down in the most worst position that you could ever be in, to where if the car moves forward or the car moves backwards, out the winch line broke and the shocks have unloaded, that car is sitting there teetering. Forward movement, backward movement, it's going to go over. And I've gone in before and fixed people's winch lines, of course, just with a knot, because we don't got time to splice it right now. I was spotting for Uriel Varela, good old Uriel, super great guy, nice Arizona boy, and I was spotting for him. And that exact thing happened. We were in Colorado, and that happened, and his front winch line broke. And any way he would have moved that car would have flipped and rolled, and boom, 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 down it would have came. I actually went in there, pulled some winch line out, tied the thing back together in a knot so we could suck it down, so that we could actually back him off that obstacle safely without destroying the car.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm telling you, I've had some recoveries where, people would just say, what the heck are you doing? Like the birth of the soft shackle. Rich Klein will know this one from Trail Hero. At the very first Trail Hero, there's an obstacle with a slot that you have to drive through to get up into an area called the Boom Boom Room. Well, Alan Woodson, I believe his name was, wadded up in that thing like there was no tomorrow. We knew that if somebody wadded up in there, we're going to have a heck of a time getting them out. So we had an excavator that we drove around and set actually up on top of this rod. So now when Alan's in there, we flew the thing in, dropped a couple slings down, and I tied to the top of his cage with 2 soft shackles, one on each end, flipped the car level. All these people on the cliffs had never seen a soft shackle before. You got to remember, this was 11 years ago, okay? And they were all heckling the heck out of me on, you're not going to lift that car with that little chintzy piece of rope, right? But like, I didn't say anything, and I just did the rig and the fingers. We got the car up, lifted it over, set it back down on the ground. The whole week of Trail Hero, people were coming to me saying, I want to buy some of them things you lifted out this car having a boom boom room with. And from there, it was just amazing. And soft shackles in the off-road industry at that point were extremely new. They come out of the sailing industry. They've been around forever. But yeah, it was the first real big hit on soft shackles in the off-road world, and they just went nuts after that.
Yeah, I mean, they're easy to carry. If one breaks for some reason or comes loose, it's a lot safer. I mean, and I've never had one break because I always usually buy good ones. But yeah, they have certainly taken off. I remember back then, and I guarantee you that I had all bow shackles, steel shackles in my bag or on my Jeep. I don't remember when I got the first one, but yeah, it was definitely probably a few years after the first Trail Hero, I would imagine. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was just a whole interesting thing with them and how they came in and how they came about. And like I said, and they work, because the whole thing is in a recovery or any kind of situation, you don't want stuff to break. When stuff breaks, it usually can be ugly. A lot of stuff does build up some kind of, inertia and stuff in it to where if it breaks, it can do a fling, it can do a fly. It's better to have stuff weak out and distort and get to the point to where it's almost going to break rather than actually physically having it break. We've tested my soft shackles to the ultimate, and very rarely did they break.
Right.
Usually they get to the point to where the load tester will know that the way that it's pulling, that there's something has been a failure, and it'll stop and it'll shut down. But I mean, my soft shackles are rated for 25,000 pounds in a 3/8, and they will hold that 25,000 pounds all day long, every day, no matter what you do to them. I derate everything due to shock load factors and the stuff that we do out there, and it's like, we're going to do whatever we need to do to get that rig recovered, because I'm not spending the night in the desert. I don't have anything to eat. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm thirsty. I want to go home. So what are we going to do to get this thing out of here? And of course we do. We do what we need to do, bring in as many cars, winches, ropes, and everything in order to get people out and get everybody back home safely.
Awesome. So I pulled this up. I wasn't trying. It's like, I get everybody confused, and sometimes when they're watching, it's like, why has he got his phone out? So I'm doing these bullet points, and I always forget if I don't do my bullet points. I think I'm going to get an iPad so it doesn't look like I'm on my phone. But usually at the end of towards the end of the interview, I'll have some random questions I'll ask everybody, and it's just kind of fun. So I got 10 questions for you.
Fire away.
Favorite thing to build?
Believe it or not, y'all might think I'm crazy, but if you follow my Facebook and stuff, y'all know I have a fetish for chain.
Nice.
I love building chain assemblies. I build more chain assemblies out of this place for over. In fact, I was back there making a 4-legged 1/2 inch when you arrived that I will finish building when I get done here with you. But it's like a giant erector set to me. Something that I really enjoyed when I was a kid was my erector set, my Lincoln logs, and stuff you guys probably never heard of because you're all too young. But really cool stuff like that. So yeah, a chain assembly is one of my favorite things to build.
Do you have a favorite tire when it comes to tires?
Well, I am very particular to 2 tires. My Jeep, I run BFG KM3s. I love them. I have a TJ, it's light. Yes, those are really super thick sidewalls on those KM3s, but I had a flat tire one day in the Jeep out crawling. I didn't even know the rear tire on the passenger side was flat until I put it back on the trailer, and to me, that's amazing. On my truck, I run the Falcon Wild Peaks.
Okay.
Love those. So those are my two favorite tires right there.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
Okay. I think you just evened out the count so far. I have to double check, but I think we're
No, I don't believe that pineapple be all
about 50-50 right now.
My wife will argue with me, but I say no pineapple on pizza. And I don't even like to pick it off because it's got the flavor on there. I love pineapple, don't get me wrong.
It's not on your pizza.
It's not on pizza.
Whiskey, beer, or non-alcoholic beverage of choice?
Well, anybody who knows me knows that one of my best friends is my buddy Jack. I have had to cut down lately, you know, but yeah, to me, there's nothing like coming home off the trail or whatever and having yourself a nice old fashioned or something. Usually I like to just drink it straight, you know, because you can drink more. Why fill up your stomach with a filler when you can just drink it straight out?
I agree. I don't drink anymore, but when I used to drink, my favorite thing was Jameson neat. So
there you go.
Just nice and simple.
There you go.
If you are going out to an event or something and you're staying there, do you like camping or hotel?
Camping.
Okay. If you're going to recreate, do you like Sand Hollow, Moab, or do you have another destination of choice?
Definitely Sand Hollow. Second destination, and it's a secret spot. A lot of you guys don't know about it. There's a spot right up there called 3P. And if you ever want to learn and see the real wheeling at Three Peaks, not just the arena where we rock crawl, that has got the weakest rock crawling out there. Give me a call. I'd love to take you out and show you.
You know what? I really might take you up on that because I am vaguely familiar with Three Peaks, but I bet you could show someone a good time out there.
Yeah, I've spent countless hours out there looking at that place, driving it, going back. I even have a trail out there called Jim's Trail that's a little over 12 miles long. And maybe someday it'll get put on Onyx. But if you want that trail, give me a call and I'll guide you through it.
Very cool. That's a good deal. What is your favorite thing to do outside of off-road or rigging the business? Something that's not in off-road or rigging.
Snow skiing.
Snow skiing. Cool. Very cool. What's your favorite accomplishment in your business?
Favorite accomplishment in the business would probably be, that's a tough one. I've been involved in a lot of big projects. I'm currently involved in a bunch of really big lifts that we're doing for the Boeing plant back east right now. But I would say just doing big lifts and big things and watching them come together, actually get erected, and everybody go away and it's still standing there.
Yeah. Nice. Locker of choice.
ARB.
That's right.
I mean, is there another source? I know people that have electrics in there all the time.
Yeah.
I don't like those, what are they called? I got one of the things up on the board here. The lockers that are always on.
Yes, the Detroits.
Detroit.
Yeah, mechanical ones.
Never been a fan of that. To me, if you need a locker, you want to push a button and you need that locker to work. And it needs to engage. It needs to engage right now, not an after tire spin.
Or another rotation.
No. It needs to lock right now. So I love that selectable ARB. Steve Nance at Sand Hollow Off-Road knocked it out of the park with my locker system on that Jeep.
Very nice. Okay, last one. What if you were going to build a dream rig? What would you start with? Would it be a particular series of a Jeep? What would you start with?
Well, I think if money was not an issue, I mean, not at all. The thing that I would do, I like short wheelbase. I've always liked short wheelbase. The pucker factor on steep climbs can really get you in on that one. But I think a TJ, like an 04 TJ, and I would take that thing down to Steve Nance and I would write him a blank check and I would tell him to make that thing look like the Genrite Jeeps, and I would be a happy camper.
You know, Jeff at Genrite is the same way. He's a diehard TJ guy. Jeff Perkins. So he's the same way. People like joke with him all the time. When are you going to get an LJ? I'm pretty sure he's rebidding the Banshee and to 2.0, and I think it's going to be a TJ again.
And yeah, TJs they're just really, really fun.
I mean, when it comes to being able to make turns and go in between stuff and in and out and be really nimble and flex, I mean, they can't beat that.
Yep.
That's the drawback when you get to the long base. I have an LJ and I also have a 4-door JK. And my 4-door JK, I love to play in it, but man, you're going to hit those corners all the time.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me. Thanks for sitting down with me. And thanks for telling me stories. I really enjoyed a couple of those, especially the soft shackle story from Trail Hero first one. That was a cool story. If somebody wants to get a hold of JM Rigging for supplies, what's the best way?
You can go for off-road stuff only, because I do not have a website that does the overhead rigging. Reasons for that. jmrigging.com. You can go on my website. You can surf through all the different stuff. I am an actual business. I'm here 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, unless, of course, I'm skiing in Mammoth or four-wheeling down to Sand Hollow, or maybe fishing. Pick up the phone and give me a call. I will actually answer the phone. I get people that call me all the time. They don't know exactly what they want. They might be confused on the end fitting that attaches to the drum. What size kinetic rope do I need? A 20, a 30, and what diameter? I will be more than happy to help anybody and walk anybody through getting set up. One of my favorite things to do is to cater to the new off-roaders. I love taking people out, showing them trails, showing them how they can get their rig through obstacles, and that you can do what you see everybody else doing out there. And I get a real kick out of that. You know, so hey, go on the website. If you're not comfortable with that, pick up the phone and call me, and I'll help you get exactly what you need. Whether I have it and I can help you, or whether I'm going to send you somewhere else, I'll steer you in the right direction.
Very cool. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Sure, you're welcome.
We'll see you next time on American Made Rock Crawler for another episode, probably live from Camp Trail Hero. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, share, smash the notification bell. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Awesome.
Perfect. Hey, that was a good little interview.
Yep.